Every so often, there is a staggeringly good piece of political scholarship that turns up in a magazine or a newspaper. And today there's an article in the New World, the magazine, the Alistair Campbell magazine that used to be the New European. So imagine for a moment that journalism at its worst stops being a record of the political weather and starts trying to manufacture the storm. And that is what is happening in this particular article, but it is brilliant. It constructs a vivid political fantasy. It names a date, scripts conversations, invents polling swings, and assigns cabinet posts. It treats fan fiction as public analysis and then presents its fiction as an inevitability, but it is such a brilliant read. The claim here is that there is a Conservative plan to make Nigel Farage Prime Minister. This may one day come true. Politics can surprise us, and British political identity has proven fluid in recent years. But today, this is not a plan. This is an accusation wrapped in a narrative designed to move public feeling rather than to observe it. So look at the technique. The article begins in the style of a thriller. There are helicopters over Westminster. There is a monarch waiting in the wings. It rehearses an imaginary general election in 2028 and announces that Farage has won 270 seats. There is no attempt to justify this number. There is no reference to how Reform UK could staff a nationwide campaign, secure serious donors, or provide hundreds of viable, competent candidates. We are simply asked to imagine it. There's nothing wrong with speculation if it's labelled as such, but this piece adopts the tone of inevitability. Every sentence whispers, this is already happening, you are late to the story. The political purpose should be clear. If it becomes normal to speak of Farage as the next Prime Minister, then those who fear him will panic and distrust the Conservatives even more, while those who admire him will believe victory is close and thus more plausible. This is not analysis, this is agitation. And the article also drastically oversimplifies the motives inside the Conservative Party. Yes, there are voices who believe some arrangement with Reform UK could preserve their relevance in a future Parliament. But parties do not casually appoint another party's leader as Prime Minister, and the Conservatives exist to hold power themselves. They are driven by self-interest and centuries of institutional memory. To surrender the crown to a rival, a man who has spent 2 decades insulting them, would be existential humiliation. For this to occur, the party would need to be not merely wounded, but already dead. And the article claims precisely that the Conservatives are in a hospice care situation now. Again, we are given melodrama in place of evidence. No historic British party, once in opposition, can with access to millions of loyal voters, a network of donors and embedded local structures, is so quickly erased. It may suffer, it may split, but it doesn't disappear to a journalist's timetable. Then there is the strange rewriting of Labour politics. We're told that Angela Rayner becomes Prime Minister, credible but unlikely, creates a kind of political nirvana, appears on magazine covers, and then loses everything because of an AI tech bubble bursting. This is economic determinism at its most cartoonish. The message is that left-wing policies are always doomed by market tantrums. That is not reporting, that is sermonising. And we should also examine the fantasy of Farage as curious, cautious strategist. The article depicts him as the master of psychological manipulation, the man who soft pedals in certain constituencies while striking invisible non-pacts with Conservatives in lounges at Tate Britain. Reform UK is currently a personality brand, not a national machine. It has little in the way of local infrastructure, and to claim that such a movement could behave like a disciplined partner in a complex election strategy is to flatter the myth rather than describe the facts. The piece even credits his appearance on a reality television show as the real turning point again. The tone, not research, but myth-making. The turning point in that reality TV show was presumably watching him in the shower. And beneath the theatrics lies a very clear agendum. This article wants you to feel that political collapse is around the corner. It wants you to believe that Britain is sliding towards a new populist order, one driven by grievance, cultural fury, and anti-Westminster sentiment. It is easier to sell magazines if every headline is an emergency. Now, a lot of the ideas there I've certainly peddled myself, but I don't believe that I am writing some sort of some sort of article that has significance in the wider world. I'm just simply peddling my views as best I can. But so the greatest flaw here with this new European, with this new world text, is simple. The entire argument depends on a set of numbers that do not exist. Reform UK has never shown the sustained national polling strength or the disciplined reach that could deliver 270 seats, even if the polling at the moment is staggeringly generous towards Reform UK. Even the most dramatic post-protest swings collapse when translated into constituency arithmetic. The barriers in our voting system are brutal, and the article hand waves that reality away. None of this means Reform cannot grow. I think it will. None of this means the Conservatives are safe. I think they're not. None of this means Farage will not find a new route to political relevance. I think he probably will, particularly if he survives the current issue over racism. But journalism should distinguish between possibility and probability. It should not pretend that fiction is foresight. And this article is not predicting events. It is rehearsing them in the hope that repetition will grant reality. It is not mapping the future. It is trying to drag readers towards the future it fears or perhaps secretly wants. It shifts the public from asking, could this happen, to whispering, this is already happening. We have seen this tactic before. In 2015, Donald Trump was described as a joke, then a novelty, then a force. In that case, pessimists became prophets because the media normalized the absurd until the absurd held office. The lesson is to resist narrative manipulation, watch parties as they are, not as fiction paints them, demand evidence for every claim of inevitability, because democracy is not theatre and the electorate are not characters to be moved by stage direction. If you have followed my channel for any length of time, you will know that quite often I contradict myself. Why? Because I look at the ideas within the confine of that little moment. And then I think, oh, that looks interesting. And then tomorrow I may completely change my mind. Why? Because I think it's important that people offer opinion, people see opinion, people digest opinion. This doesn't claim to be an opinion piece. This is the first big article in the magazine. It's quite worrying. Nigel Farage as Prime Minister is today a hypothetical. It may grow legs. It may collapse in laughter. But we must be anchored in reality rather than swept away by someone else's screenplay. And the article in the New European, the New World, is imaginative, but imagination is being wielded as a weapon. It is steering opinion, not informing it, and that in a democracy is one of the more dangerous forms of storytelling.